John Bush here with the Rise Up Radio Show. Got your Lone Star Liberty beat for the week of October 3rd, 2012. From thestatesman.com, starting with the local news, home starts prices continue to rise in Central Texas. The region's new home market continued gathering steam in the third quarter, with housing starts surging 37% in Central Texas, the latest figures show. Meanwhile, heightened demand, coupled with the low supply of homes and tightening labor market, is causing home prices to keep climbing higher, housing analysts and builders say. In its quarterly report Tuesday, housing tracker Metro Study said builders started construction on 2,376 new houses in Central Texas in the 3 months that ended in September. Also from the Statesman, stricter Texas voter ID law tied up in court too. Texas's voter ID law, one of the strictest in the nation, also is likely to be headed for the U.S. Supreme Court. A federal court in Washington, D.C. halted the law in late August, saying it would disproportionately affect minorities' ability to vote. At that time, the state attorney general, Greg Abbott, said he would appeal to the nation's highest court. Poll finds Texans split on top issues. The economy, immigration, and education are among the most significant issues in Texas and the U.S., but the economic situation in the state is better than the rest of the country, according to Texans' response to a survey released Tuesday. According to the poll by the Texas Lyceum, likely voters in Texas are split this year on what they see as the most important problem. 21% of respondents said the economy was most important, 16% said it was immigration, 15% were most concerned about education, 12% cited unemployment and jobs as most important, and 8% said political corruption is most important. Let's see if that 8% can get higher when people start seeing what's really going on. Out of New Jersey, this is WABC. Teen arrested after videotaping police confrontation. There's a question of constitutional rights that's increasingly being raised around the country. The family of a New Jersey teenager is suing a local police department, claiming officers arrested the boy simply because he was videotaping a confrontation with cops. 15-year-old Austin DeCaro never imagined his habit of taking his camcorder everywhere would come in handy on such an evening several months ago. He got out of the car and said, "All of you get on the curb," and none of us knew what to do. "So I flipped on my camera," said Austin DeCaro, a teenage videographer. "I saw this random guy telling us to sit on the curb, and I didn't know if he was a cop or not. I decided I should record it." DeCaro and a couple of his friends had been crossing a park in Hanover Township, New Jersey, just after dusk. They say they had no idea there was a park curfew. A black car drove up, and a cop in plain clothes confronted them. Well, Nancy Pelosi, turns out her brother-in-law is getting a $737 million tax grant to build solar power plants in the middle of the desert. That's right. This is coming out of the Daily Mail. Nancy Pelosi is facing accusations of cronyism after a solar energy project, which her brother-in-law has a stake in, landed a $737 million loan guarantee from the Department of Energy despite the growing Solyndra scandal. The massive loan agreement is raising new concerns about the use of taxpayers' money, as vast sums are invested in technology similar to that of the doomed energy project. The investment has intensified debate over the effectiveness of solar energy as a major power source. The Solar Reserve Project is backed by an energy investment fund where the minority leader's brother-in-law, Ronald Pelosi, is second in command. Well, federal cannabis prohibition turns 75 years old today. In a milestone that will no doubt go largely unnoticed by the mainstream media, today marks the 75th anniversary of the enactment of federal marijuana prohibition. On October 1st, 1937, the U.S. government criminally outlawed the possession and cultivation of cannabis, setting into motion a public policy that today results in some 850,000 arrests per year and has led to more than 20 million arrests since 1965. That is from NORML.com, the National Organization for the Reform of Marijuana Laws. George Soros, the multi-billion-dollar influence peddler, headline, this is from Harrods.com, Soros pledges $1 million to Obama Super PAC. Billionaire financier George Soros has committed $1 million to the Super PAC group that is helping fund President Barack Obama's re-election bid. A person familiar with the pledge said on Thursday. The move by Soros could trigger more big checks from liberal donors who have previously avoided giving to super PACs due to their concern over the unlimited spending power of such groups. Taxpayers spent $1.4 billion on family last year, on Obama family last year. Perks questioned in new book. This is from the Daily Caller. Taxpayers spent $1.4 billion on everything from staffing, housing, flying, and entertaining President Barack Obama and his family last year, according to the author of a new book on taxpayer-funded presidential perks. In comparison, British taxpayers spent just $57.8 million on the royal family. It's quite a difference. Author Robert Keith Gray writes in Presidential Perks Gone Royal that Obama isn't the only president to have taken advantage of the expensive trappings of his office. But the amount of money spent on the first family, he argues, has risen tremendously under the Obama administration and needs to be reined in. Again, out of the Daily Caller. It's from CNN.com. Hundreds of thousands of war vets still waiting for health benefits. From Phoenix, Mike Rowe can't go to the grocery store without making a list, even for a single item. He can't even drive without gripping the steering wheel so hard his knuckles turn white. And he can't stand any longer than 30 minutes because of severe back pain. This is Rowe's life after Afghanistan, where firefights and a roadside bomb blast left him with traumatic brain injury and post-traumatic stress disorder. His ears still ring from the explosives he suffers from vertigo, headaches, insomnia, and nightmares. He has terrible anxiety, evident in an interview with CNN. Rowe could hardly sit still, and his memory loss and inability to concentrate meant questions had to be repeated at times. As a staff sergeant in the U.S. Army, Rowe most recently was deployed in 2010 to one of the most dangerous spots in Afghanistan. There he survived firefights and blasts and witnessed much carnage in Pakita province near the violent Afghan-Pakistan border. After returning home, Rowe faced a much different battle, one that he nor his wife Maggie expected. The Department of Veterans Affairs said on its track to process 1 million disability claims this year. With the war in Iraq over and one in Afghanistan winding down, the VA is sorting through a backlog of more than 860,000 disability claims from American veterans. More than a quarter of those vets, 228,000, have been waiting for a year or more. Rowe has been trying to get his disability claim fully processed since January 2011, shortly after he returned from Afghanistan. And finally, furious guns tied to 2010 Juarez massacre, other murders in Mexico. Of course, that's Fast and Furious guns tied to 2010 Juarez massacre and many other murders in Mexico. This is out of a local Fox affiliate in Arizona. For the first time, Mexican victims of crimes tied to the botched Operation Fast and Furious are being identified, including teenagers killed in a 2010 massacre. A new report finds dozens of weapons recovered in Mexico have been connected with the ill-fated and ill-conceived anti-gun running program. While some Mexican authorities estimate 300 of their citizens have been injured or killed by the Fast and Furious guns, little has been known about those weapons south of the U.S. border until now. Through the Mexican Freedom of Information Act, Spanish-language network Univision and Fox News obtained a list of 100,000 weapons recovered in Mexico since in 2009 and 2010. The guns were then compared with serial numbers of 2,000 guns sold in Fast and Furious. Univision identified a total of 57 more previously unreported firearms that were bought by straw purchasers monitored by ATF during Operation Fast and Furious and then recovered in Mexico in sites related to murders, kidnappings, and other actions by Mexican hitmen and drug cartels. In an investigative special that aired Sunday, Univision revealed one such massacre that was later found to be linked with Fast and Furious. It happened in January 2010 in Juarez, Mexico, where cartel members burst into a home, killing 16 people, mostly teenagers, at a birthday party. While the gunmen were targeting members of a rival gang attending that party, some of the victims were innocent bystanders. This has been your Lone Star Liberty Beat, again for the week of October 3rd, 2012. I'm John Bush. Visit riseupradio.com or youtube.com/riseupradio to subscribe. Peace and freedom.